Hey soul family, thanks for joining me and welcome back to Remember Who the Fuck You Are So the Game Can Change, podcast that is here to wake you up, to lift you up, to trigger you possibly, to empower you and to know your worth, step into your true authentic self. So this week's episode is about my journey, my truth, my dad and how he played a role in my life, or the impact that he had, both positively and negatively, and also how that impacted my journey and my soul truths with it, and the journey of the end of his life, me coming back to Adelaide where he is, and spending some time with him before he passed and what that brought up. Let's dive in. And just, I got to the point where I'm like, why do I keep doing this to myself? He's lived his life. I'm just beginning to live mine. I saw my worth back then, and I had to put my boundaries up, and I had to walk away. I had to honour myself and my heart and my soul, and know that I had done nothing wrong. I had been guided to do what I did in regards to have him committed, because that was what happened. And that is a really big lesson in life, is things happen the way they happen because that's the way they were meant to happen. If it was meant to happen any other way, it would have. Peter Crome says that, and it is just so powerful and so true. We look back on our journey and we're like, I look back on my journey with my dad and thought, fuck, if only I knew, maybe I could have helped him. If only I knew what I know now, things would have been different. Things could have been different. But I didn't. You didn't. Whatever scenario is popping up in your mind, whatever memory is popping up in your mind right now, you didn't know any better. Otherwise you would have done better. You didn't know any different because you would have done different. It happened that way because it needed to happen that way. If it wasn't meant to happen that way, it wouldn't have happened that way. As simple as that. And that's where you can release, you can let go, you can forgive yourself and forgive them at the same fucking time. I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. And I send it all back to you. I send it all back to you, and I call back my power. I call back my power from the north, the south, east and west, from all directions, time, space, dimension and reality. I call it all back to me now. So, fast forward to a few years ago. I had a phone call from my dad's estate people, and they had said that he'd been moved to a nursing home and they needed a next of kin. Would I be okay to have my number given to them? And I'm like, yep, that's fine. I then thought to myself, after awakening and opening up to my gifts and realising my gifts and the journey that I embarked on, I thought, actually, I'd like to write Dad a letter. Because he didn't know I was in Victoria. 2, he didn't know I was married. 3, he didn't know he had 5 grandkids. 4, he didn't know that I was at where I was at. And 5, he didn't know that I had triplets. So I wrote him a letter and had them read it to him, and left it at that. I sent some photos as well. I then, a few years later, decided, after awakening my psychic medium gifts and healer ability, and having clients, I then wrote him another letter to say what I do. And let's just say he didn't appreciate that. He didn't like that. He was triggered as fuck. with that. And he was yelling at the nurses, "This is not true, this is not my daughter, you are lying." That's okay. So fast forward another couple of years until last week. I receive a phone call to say that my dad is in hospital and that he's deteriorated quite dramatically. I then get a phone call from the doctor. They'd asked if I could speak to the doctor, so I said yes, that's fine. And then was a little bombarded with another phone call where it was asking me to be guardian of him medically. And I was just like, okay, that's fine. They didn't even know he had two sons who also live in the same state, actually the same city. One is 15 minutes drive and the other one is maybe half an hour drive. But they called me. So I just said, yep, that's fine. Happy to make any decisions that need to be made. I spoke to the doctor who advised me that he's not eating, he's not really talking, he's deteriorated, he's probably got 1 to 2 weeks left to live. So then come the thought of, oh, do I go see him? Now, I had gone to, which is another episode coming, I had gone to Queensland a month and a bit ago, and I'd gone up there was invited by my beautiful friend Lisa from Earthy Angels. If you've listened to my Bali episodes, you'll know about her. And yeah, I'd gone up there to run a women's circle for her and with her. It was absolutely magical and amazing. And Lisa has done my awakening program, 12 weeks of awakening to her gifts and removing all the doubt and the beliefs, and also attuning her to my generational healing and awakening her to her soul codes and light language. So she's very connected also, and she's done, the friendship that we have is just so magical and so amazing that it's give and take. She gives me messages and truths and have you looked at it this way, or as much as I give her, which is truly amazing and yeah, pretty special when you find those ones. So whilst I was up there, she actually mentioned about my dad. She had a calling to, and a message to come through from my mum, and asked me about my dad and said to me, you need to go see him. And that triggered me because it brought up all of those things that he said to me when I was younger, and the emotions that I had then, and how small I felt, and how belittled I was, and how soul crushing it was. So I had to sit with that for a bit, and I had to notice and be aware of all the emotions that were coming up, and all the thoughts and feelings, and the ego was coming in. And that was a beautiful gift in itself, that she did that for me, that she listened to my guides and my mum. And she, by the way, my mum's an angel. Yeah, she passed that on to me, and just started the ball rolling. So I then come home and think about it, talk to my husband about it, and then we get the phone call a few weeks later to say, he's got 1 2 weeks leave. So I then said to my husband, like, I just need to go. I don't know what's going to come of it. I don't know why I need to be there, but I trust that I just need to be there. So we organised a flight scrimped the barrel and scraped the barrel and got a flight. And I have come, so today's Wednesday. I came yesterday and spent some time with Dad. And yeah, it was interesting. It was me just being completely divinely guided in what I said and how I said it and what needed to come through. And there was a stage there where I said that it's okay to let go, that he doesn't need to hold on anymore, he doesn't need to be in this prison within himself anymore, that he can fly free, be at peace and go to the light and be with past loved ones. His response was bullshit. That's bullshit. And funny enough, it was clear, those words, whereas a lot of his words he mumbles, so you can't really understand what he's saying. But that was clear. I then spoke about what I do and that I'm a very powerful healer, that I connect with people all over the world, that people connect with me all over the world with this podcast. And he said to me, "You've changed. You're not the same Kira. You're not the same Kira." And I said, "Yeah, you're right, Dad. I'm not the same Kira. I've grown, I've healed, I've learned, I've forgiven. So I'm not the same Kira, 100%. And I said to him, "You're not the same Dad either. You're not the same person I once knew. And that's okay. That's okay." So it was a empowering moment, because I said to him when he said that, I said, "Dad, you know what? That used to trigger me. That used to make me feel bad about myself. That used to make me sad, but it doesn't anymore." I said, "You don't have that power over me anymore, because I'm so powerful myself, and I've done my work, and I help people." I then came back today, and very similar to the story I've just told you of where he used to be, I saw a glimpse of him, of his true self, of where he used to be and where he still is now. So there was a small little glimpse when he said bullshit, and when he said, "You're not the same Kira." I then, today, I was feeding him some lunch, giving him some drink, and he actually was mumbling something, and I said, "What was that, Dad? What did you say?" And he said, "You're a sweet girl." I said, "Thank you for saying that, because I am, 100%. I am a sweet girl, and that's what you've missed out on this whole time." He then fell asleep, and I was just sitting there reading my book, and he woke up, and he was mumbling, saying something, and I said, could finally work out, he said he wanted a nurse. I said, "Okay, I'll get a nurse." I said, "Did you want to press your buzzer?" He didn't move, so I pressed it. They came in and checked on him and seen what he wanted, and he wouldn't speak to them. And I said, he said he wanted the nurse. So they went to go get the nurse. It was taking quite a while. And then another person who works there, who's been working with my dad for a while, came in. He's like, "Oh, is everything okay?" And I said, "Oh, he woke up agitated. He wanted the nurse." And so he tried to ask Dad what he wanted, and Dad was mumbling and couldn't really understand him. I said, "Yeah, I can't understand him either." So then he leaves. And then I go out of the room, come back in, and my dad was mumbling and trying to move the sheet. And I said, "What do you want, Dad?" He goes, "I want my hands." I said, "Okay." So I pulled the sheet away, and he brought his hands up a bit, and they were shaking. And I said to him, oh no, he said, "Hold my hand." And I said, "Okay." So I held his hand, and then he was shaking, trying to get me off. And he said, "Get off me. Get off me." I said, "Okay, that's fine, Dad. That's fine. I don't have to hold your hand." And he then turned to me and he said, "I fucking want a cold drink." But the energy and the hate behind it, I was just snapped back in time to when he used to speak to me. He used to call me names, used to tell me he hates me. And I said, "I beg your pardon." And he said it again. I said, "You found your voice. You've used your words. Why didn't you say that to the nurses? Why do you feel like you need to treat me like that?" I said, "I'm the one here, Dad. I don't see your sons here who live in the same city, who live up the road. They're not here. My younger brother is not going to visit him, which is his own choice and his own journey." I said to my dad, "I'm here. Don't treat me like this. I don't deserve this. I never did." To which he then said, "You're such a bitch." And I said, "I beg your pardon." And he said it again. And I was just... It took me a couple of seconds to snap out of the energy vampire, the what he was sucking and trying to suck out of me or place upon me. And I said, "I know you're frustrated, Dad, but you can clearly use your voice. Start using it. Don't pretend like you can't talk, because you can. You've just spoken very clearly to me. Not nicely, but very clearly. I understood exactly what you just said. And you find the need to speak to me like that, even though I'm the one who's travelled from a different state to come and see you with 5 kids and a husband at home. I'm the one who's come to see you. And you treat me like this. You choose to treat me like this." And he then turned and said to me, "All you want is my money. You're not getting anything from me." I said, "You know what, Dad? I don't want anything from you. I don't want your money. I don't need your money. I want nothing from you. I just came here to be nice. I came here to see you. Thank you for this. I appreciate it. I'm sorry it had to be this way. I love you. And I'll see you on the other side." I then picked up my stuff. I looked at him. He was saying something, and I just said goodbye and walked out. And I'm sure there's going to be people here triggered by this. And and we'll say, oh, but he didn't mean it. Oh, he didn't know what he was saying. He knew exactly what he was saying. He knew exactly what he was saying 20 years ago. For the look in his eyes, he was even showing his teeth like a dog. I don't mean to call him a dog, but showing his teeth like he meant fucking business. And yes, he's at the end of his life. But just because someone's at the end of their life doesn't mean you have to take it. Doesn't mean you have to bow down to them. Doesn't mean you can't stand up for yourself. Doesn't mean you can't stand in your power and say, you know what? No, you're not going to treat me like this. I don't deserve this. I honour myself. And I know my heart, and I know my goodness, and I know what I give. And if you're going to take advantage of that right now, then I'm walking away. Because with my head fucking held high, because I've done nothing wrong. So this journey to Adelaide, my hometown, where I grew up, if you're on YouTube right now, I'm at Glenelg Beach, for those who know. This has been a really empowering trip for me to call back my power, for me to stand in my power, for me to not be walked over, for me to finally say goodbye, to apologise for what I didn't know, and acknowledge what I do know now. He said to me one point when I said, you can go to the light. When it comes, the angels will come and help you and guide you. And he said, no, that's not true. I said, well, that's a shame you don't believe that. And that's okay if you don't believe that. I understand, that's fine. I said, but what I also know is that when you do actually cross over, and when that does actually happen, then I know that you're also going to come back and speak to me and say some sorry. You were right, Kira. You were right. And that's okay too, Dad. So for me to, and for him to say that I've changed, you know what? 100% I've changed. If you haven't changed, which I've noticed a few people in the people who live here, if you don't change, there lies the problem. We've been so conditioned that people say, oh, you've changed. Well, you say it like it's a bad thing. Someone who hasn't changed, that's the bad thing. That's the issue. You noticing that I've changed but you haven't, and you questioning that, there lies the issue. Not that I've changed. So that has been my journey. I am now booking a flight hopefully home tomorrow night, if all goes well, because I've done what I needed to do here. And now the rest is up to Dad, and when he lets go and his body decides that enough's enough, and he then gains his angel wings, and he then goes into reflection of his life and what impact that has had on others, and facing his truth and reassessing what he's learnt and also hasn't learnt, and yeah, his day of awakening. So I hope this has helped in some way. I I realise that this also could have triggered some people, and if it has and you're still here, congratulations. I urge you to question why it's triggered you, why it's brought things up within you, and work on that, and seek assistance and guidance to help heal that. So we always have things in our life that are here to test us, that are here to help us grow, learn, transform, transcend, ascend. And it's whether we are open to see it, take those opportunities, stand in your power, call back your power. It's whether you take those opportunities or not. And with that, I'll leave you. Stay tuned for more. Please like, follow, subscribe. If this is something that resonates with you, share with somebody who may need it. And stay tuned. Spirit has in store for us for the next episode. All right, my loves. Thank you for tuning in. Love you. Bye.